Hello friends, and welcome to the 11th hour. Well, the 11th video of Simple Vids about books. Today I'm going over my rating system, which is good for books, cups of tea, movies, whatever you want. There isn't a book I'm going about this week, but I am up to the last chapter of The Ill-Made Mute, and I did start reading Peter Pan, as is Marge's book. I will go ahead and say very good, getting better, and written about a century ago, and it reads like it was written about a century ago. But onto my rating system. It's from 1 out of 10, obviously 1 being good and 10 being wonderful. But numbers without a context are still kind of no use. It's just this is a 6, this is a 7. So I'll go on and explain that a bit. But before then, let's cut onto some more nature shots. In general, you're going to see 5 or aboves, and probably never a 10, because, well, there's no real 10s. Anyway, here's the how-to. Using books as an example, did you like it? Finish it? Would suggest it to friends? That's at least a 7. If you were looking at someone's attractiveness, that's dateable. It doesn't mean they're the best or anything, that's what 8 and 9 are for. 8 out of 10 is kind of like 7, but at some point that makes it really good. So it's got, one extra point, a strong one in its favor. For example, Elric Stormbringer is easily a 7, and probably a 9, but it's easily an 8 anyway, because it uses chaos versus law theme, which is a fresh change from the old, good versus evil that's so common in everything else. 9, as you can guess, is quite passable, with 2 or more very strong points in its favour. This can change over time. It's something that's amazing the first time you read it, loses that excitement upon a reread. But it's very strong stuff, that you would suggest and that other people have already heard of and are looking to read. For example, Terry Pratchett's Discworld. If you've heard of fantasy, or Douglas Adams, or Neil Gaiman, you're very likely aware of Terry Pratchett as well, so it's easy to put his work overall at a 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10s don't exist, so don't look. To imply anything is perfection is just ludicrous. There's the extra 0.5 you can give to something, but that's purely up to personal flair. You might see a 9.5, but that's as close as you'll get. So that's for good books, enjoyable reads, dateable appearances, and above. Let's look down the line. 6 is very close to a 7, but it's not there. Usually this would or could be a good book, but there's one severely limiting point against it. A good example would be Space Unicorn Blues. I've mentioned it previously, and I really wanted to enjoy it, but it was too long and didn't explore the direction nor promise of the cover or the blurb at all. I liked the main 2 characters, but in another story they'd be great. But the story world itself, also known as the exegesis, suffered a lot. It just was so generic. 5 is another case that's kind of close to a 7, but there's plenty wrong with this item. Not just one thing, like a few, 2 or 3 more. As a book, you wouldn't read it, certainly wouldn't recommend it, and in terms of attractiveness, it's like a smoker who's winking at you from across the crowded coffee bar when you don't smoke. No thanks. From 4 downwards, you are actively warning people against this book, and there's just too little to count as a good part of the book's construction. If this was a movie, it's where they begin to get so bad, you watch them for how bad they are. So something like Sharknado, The Plan from Planet 9, I think it's called, or The Room, most famous of all. These are all firmly 4 or below, and much closer to 1s and 2s out of 10. They often have one great actor in a very unfortunate role, but that's it. In terms of attractiveness, they don't even leave the house to go to the bar to be seen. They are that unapproachable. 0 out of 10s, a fabled creature much like the 10 out of 10, are so rare I didn't think I'd ever actually find one. They are so bad, you can't say anything about them. You can't control yourself from fuming about how bad it is to the people that you meet. And it's just capital N, no. Cannot compute. I really genuinely thought I'd never find one. Giving at least a 1 out of 5 for anything, but I have come across a 0 out of 5, and it was painful, devastating. And unfortunately, it was during a time when I said I'd read every word of anything I picked up, so I couldn't skip it. I just let it happen, and then, got on to anything else. So that's a quick look at my rating system. 7 out of 10 is good. More points means there's something extra good about it. Adding 0.5 kind of shows that you personally really enjoyed it, while 6 or less means you don't really need to bother. There's so many other good things out there already. Thank you for joining me once again, and join me next week when I properly review The Ill-Made Mute. See, I've only got 1 chapter left, and I'll read that pretty much tonight until I finish it, because it's really good. I'm going to say I'm going to go ahead and say find a copy if you can. Definitely good for younger readers, and it's a very good female fantasy. Yeah, really good. And to a certain extent, Peter Pan. Yeah. But, and please hit the like button and the subscribe button and the little red bell, which will tell you when I update. I was a day late this week. That just happens sometimes. You know, life is busy. Thank you for following me still. It all helps me keep creating these wonderful videos and videos for you. Keep posting in the comments. What do you like about my videos? Do you want me to review a book you like? How about the nature videos? Did you enjoy this one? This time, complete with sun instead of rain. I liked it. It was much fun getting out and actually cleaning the yard somewhat. And of course, lastly, my own 2 books are available on Amazon, being The Full Life of a Robot and A Machine of Blood. Both available cheap right now, or you can get the paperbacks. They cost a little bit more. But if you want to support me, then buy those books if you haven't. And if I ever meet you in person, I'll be happy to sign the paper copies for you. Using my rating system, I give them both 10 out of 10. I know I said that 10 out of 10s don't exist, but I'll make an exception for myself. I mean, honest, no, 10.5, actually, personally, like, come on, as if, yeah, so. Oh, I don't know if this joke is worth it. I'm Moriarty. What are you reading?